All right, hey everybody. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Dave Greco. I'm the lead concept artist here at Artcraft. And so I get to do all our concept art, a lot of our marketing illustration. So basically today I'm just gonna kind of go through another piece. Like Todd was saying, we were kind of missing a piece in a lot of the new illustrations that were done recently. And so I spent this morning kind of blocking out a black and white what could be one of our half giants as a marauder. Is it? Yeah. I remember not. I mean, yeah, dog is.
Yeah, here, let me
Post every day. That's my birthday. So now I even have random people on my Facebook wishing me happy birthday, even though it's not my birthday. But one thing that's actually kind of cool to showcase in this is that people have only kind of seen that kind of older version of what was the champion. That stone. He's kind of the half giant champion. And I've been kind of working on kind of like a new look for him, since they didn't really have much of figuring out kind of what they look like for a race. And so between the male and the female, they kind of have more like a Viking type vibe to them. Definitely like hairier. The other guy was like weird and it's like every inch of his body was totally shaved, and I don't know, he didn't have like too much personality. So we're kind of going off this that I did some time ago. I'm not sure if he ever released these. And so I'm kind of bringing that vibe into this guy right here. And basically we know they're Myrmidons. Yeah, they're kind of just the dual wielding berserk maniacs. So this guy is pretty much just going to be charging through a battlefield, and Todd actually wanted like a decapitated Ganetian in front, which that'd be kind of rough, but maybe we'll do it. All right, just gotta fix a couple windows here. Usually when I drag these monitors over, they get all funky on me. There we go. All right, perfect. All right, so this is basically how I start. Like I spent a while, I spent today before getting on here, getting this black and white down and really just kind of messing with the composition. I did a couple different ones of different poses, but this is going probably a direction that I'm finding the most interesting. At least there's like a lot of energy with it, and even though there's some proportion things, and one of the arms is weirdly hidden behind the rest, is something I can still figure out later. But I think this one could kind of work. So basically this is where I start, and this is from here. I won't actually render the black and white any more than this. Now sometimes I will, but I really don't need to. I can kind of start blocking in some base color and then start rendering. Actually, one thing I've actually been doing lately is making a lighten layer. And let's see here. Usually I do some type of like dark maroon or dark red somewhere. I can brush this over the whole thing. So I don't want a lot of these black values to kind of muddy up the piece later. And so I'll kind of just brush over a lot of this. I found that sometimes this gives it a little vibrancy to the piece. So I've been kind of doing on some of my recent stuff. I think it gives it a little more life. Since I'm not married to a lot of that anyway, I'm going to be painting over it. So do something like that. And basically I know I kind of want to gradient the background as well. So I kind of just go to some of my brushes. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's just do this. But yes, we hadn't looked at some of these art types in a while, so it's kind of nice to be able to get back to them a little bit. But a lot of those new illustrations that came out recently were a lot of fun to do. They're a lot of work, but I think it kind of showed a lot. I was able to do the that Frostweaver on stream, and it was kind of nice. And I was able to kind of work on it in front of everybody, and no one really knew kind of what I was working on. So sometimes before I'll start laying this color stuff, I'll do just like a little bit of, I find like tons of pieces that I find is like inspirational color-wise. Sometimes if you have the time on any project, you know, it's usually good to do color studies and that kind of stuff. But usually when you're doing concept art, you don't have that kind of time, so you kind of have to get right into it.
Would you ever do a full rundown of all the brushes you use?
Yeah, I can definitely go over some of them. Usually my brushes that I use a lot definitely change from month to month. But basically, I kind of have this collection of brushes I built up over the years. Some are pre-bought brushes, some are just brushes you can find online. I don't make many of my own brushes anymore just because I have so many useful ones here. It's hard to tell, you kind of just have like ones memorized. I usually kind of use a lot of, I have this row in here, and they're kind of chalky brushes. So you can kind of see with this one, if I zoom in, that it leaves that kind of chalk texture underneath it, and depending on the pen pressure, I can kind of go over it. But these are the type of brushes I like to use early in the painting, just so it's leaving a lot of little weird details that you don't have to purposely brush in, but that will come through in the painting when you're working on it later. And then I find to use like the messier brushes first, and then as I continue to clean up, I can go right over those. All right. Let's still brush in some more color here. All this early stuff can change. I'm not like 100% sure on direction of light. I know you kind of have like a couple core values. You try to remember, like you definitely want like good contrast. You want the light on the piece to guide you where you want your eye to go on the piece. So, you know, there's usually going to be, I'll kind of just outline it where I'm thinking. Like this bright red right here. Save it. So, you know, obviously the important parts of him are going to be usually right here. You know, maybe some stuff right there. I'll probably have the brightest points of my light be hitting him, kind of gradient down, and then you could kind of maybe at one point hit a couple spots here to balance it. So you're always balancing everything in your piece, the composition of all the shapes, where the light hits, and then eventually when I get color in, to make sure everything balances, you know. You want everything to feel completely balanced on the piece. One thing I have been having fun with lately is just kind of brushing in lots of subtle color on clouds and all the shapes. I think if you can have it bleed into just a bunch of different colors instead of making things monochromatic, that can add a lot of life.
Sorry, is this piece potentially going into the art book?
Yeah, I think any of the pieces, especially these large illustrated pieces, will definitely be in there. So this is a piece that I'll probably go on the website. I've been trying to do more pieces like this that are more appropriate for like people's wallpapers. That's one thing about being concept, and especially being concept on a small team, is that you have to do art to feed the modelers and environment artists, but I'm also working on art that feeds our marketing and advertising. So there's a lot of facets. So I always kind of have to remember everything. Even if I do a piece that's for Eric or John, I try to treat it as a finished piece, because not only can it feed them, but then we can also use it in marketing stuff and anything that's shown to help give more press to the game. So I always feel like there's a lot on my shoulders for that, but I think it's a really good thing. I like holding that kind of mantle for a lot of the look that's going out.
Do you have any tips for people getting into art in general, or art for video games, that sort of thing? Other than practice all the time forever.
I mean, that is a huge one. Is just tons and tons of practice, and you hear this a lot, like in art school, which people have their opinions about going to art school and everything. I found art school to be invaluable. I wouldn't have traded it for anything, but it's just really just draw from life, don't draw from photos, because it's all about understanding what you draw. Usually when you draw from photos, you're just kind of copying, this line connects to this line, this eyeball connects to right here. But usually when you draw from life, it's more just understanding what you draw. Like, why is this line curving around to the back of this? Why is it doing all these things? So then when you have to do it again in the future, you have a better understanding and you can represent it more accurately. I always found that to be a big thing, and I feel like I wish I had someone, even when I was younger, like in middle or high school, just give me kind of simple lessons like that would have helped so much. Because, I probably copied from photos like crazy back then. And it just really flattens your work out. And I think it's just like you're always growing like crazy. And maybe some artists are, but I'm definitely never content to where my art is. I think probably a lot of artists are like that. But so just always trying to push it. Sometimes I just like, don't be afraid to throw some kind of random colors in here. Especially like when you're working digitally. Like I've tried to teach myself just to get more and more loose with it all. I find that a lot of my work gets a little too tight and not very static. So I've been trying to work more on these kind of like dynamic poses. I think sometimes they feel awkward still, but I gotta just keep trying at them until it works. Some artists make it look so effortlessly. It can be frustrating, but you just gotta keep trying.
It's funny that you say that, considering I was just thinking that, like, God, all those clouds look so great, and it just like looks like it's so easy for you to do.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where it comes, just like practice. Like you learn, I always say like every piece you do, you get 0.01% better. So you just gotta put out like 40,000 pieces, and then you'll notice that you got a little bit better.
How long did it take for you to develop your brush set that you currently use regularly?
I've had this brush set for like 8 years that I've kind of added to, and some of the brushes are pretty useful. Most of them in there are pretty useless. They get too crazy, or like Sparth has a cool brush set. I don't even know if I have them in here. They might not have plopped in this one. A lot of like really well-known artists have little brush sets you can buy, and they're pretty cool. There's certain things you can find uses for, like this one's pretty weird. You get a lot of brushes that just do weird things that I'm not sure works. Like here's some weird crack web thing. Sometimes brushes could make your work look too digital. But then there's some brushes, like I wish I had like really good brushes that mimicked the way like an oil painting looks. Something like a palette knife or something. I know there's really good brushes that I see other artists use. I just don't have any. I have no idea how to make my own that look like that. So, I should actually spend more time dealing with brushes, but sometimes, like, especially at the concept arts, you're kind of just going and going. You really gotta step on it.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but mythologically speaking, or I guess in a lore sense, how are we addressing the giant side of this race? Are they half stone giants, half hill giants, fire giants? Is there a specific...
That is definitely...
Is that a Blair question?
Or maybe a Todd question.
That's a Todd question.
I don't even know why they're half giants.
Why aren't they just giants?
Yeah, I stopped asking Todd these questions, and I'm like, all right, Todd, that sounds good to me.
That sounds good. I'll do it. Just like that.
I was like, it sounds visually cool. I'm pretty easy to sell. I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll paint that.
Tennis said beard giants.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have enough beards in our game. Like, for kind of a medieval fantasy fighting game, and no one's got any huge beards.
Yeah, everybody is pretty clean shaven.
I know. Exactly. So we have like a lot of humans and elves that don't have beards. So I want to design like tons of crazy beards. So we'll definitely, if I try to block in some initial color on this guy. This, and people have seen this stage before. This is always a stage I like despise doing, because there's so much like uncertainty. You're kind of just blocking color. Everything's kind of messy. you're not working, working on the details for any painting is always the best part. Like really, when it starts to come together and you get that kind of high.
You're like, oh wow, it looks good, awesome.
You're like, oh god, I
am
got
an artist
there.
After all.
I know, I'm not a total failure.
So do you typically use a lot of layers, or do you tend to keep it? Because
Yeah.
I know artists that use like 40 or 50 layers.
Yeah, I put those artists to shame. I use at least 300 layers in every painting.
Jesus.
I used to have an art director that would basically yell at me because I would just save like these 2 gig PSDs out. And my layers are nonsense. Like some spend the time to organize them properly. I'm not one of those people. I don't know why. I can't help it. I just every time like I'm done working on this little thing, I'll click over, hit a new layer. But because sometimes I just drop the opacity on it a little bit, or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something I don't even think about now. Now we're stuck with it. And so I have like, people that grab a lot of these pieces for our marketing and they ask for the PSDs. And I was like, well, that PSD is not going to be any use for you.
Yeah. They always, Travian will ask, like, oh, does he have it layered? Or like,
Yeah.
well,
There's layers in there, but like
there are layers.
it also gets so large that I'll flatten the piece out and then get more layers. I can't spend the time where like, all right, well, let me paint the whole background and then let me paint a whole character on top of the background so it's all perfect. Because then it's extra time too. I'm having to paint things behind other things that you might not necessarily even see. So, who's got time for that?
Do you think that learning to paint in grayscale is essential for concept art?
Yeah, I think why I started doing it more is it helped me see my values better. I was able to really point out my darks and lights and pinpoint where I want my focus to go value-wise, where I used to hop into a color a lot quicker and not figure that out ahead of time, and sometimes it would really screw me over when I realized there was problems that I hadn't problem solved before jumping into color. So now I find if I just spend like a good half the day on the black and white, I'll end up in the same place with a lot less like margin of error for where the piece is going to go. So I always feel like there's going to be a large margin of error. Like this could just go downhill so fast.
So there's going to be a news post on the Elkin on Thursday. Is there any new art that you've done for that? Or is that mostly going to be some of Eric's modeling?
I think we showed...
Because I haven't put that together yet, so honestly, I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know if we showed the line. Have we shown the lineup for the Elkin?
I've seen it. I can't remember if I saw it.
It's weird for me. It's a good thing. I've been in a good place that, for the most part, I've been pretty far ahead as far as the rest of the team, which is such a good place to be. Sometimes I've been on projects where you're basically just 4 days ahead before the modelers totally come to a screeching halt. So I've done stuff that was finished 6 months ago that we haven't released yet. So sometimes I'm not entirely sure. Have we shown all the half giant armor sets? I guess most of them are in game. I can kind of show. This is an old piece. Yeah, we've definitely shown this. But these were a piece that Allison did when we first designed his armor sets. So I'm just giving him this piece right here, especially since our armor sets right now are race specific and not class specific. And so I just took his helmet off, but he's going to have all this kind of leathery stuff. But I might put a little more iron on it. All right. And so like right now you can kind of tell like how dull and dark these kind of like shadow areas are. And then once you get going further in the piece, I'll bring in like a ton of bounced light and really make that pop and read a lot better. I really wanted this dude to have like one serious crazy eye. Yeah, I didn't have his mouth open screaming or anything, but I figure one large crazy eye could make this dude alright. And so this is one of those pieces that are going to be like lots of little rendering once they get down into all the nitty gritty. So I'll probably end up getting rid of a lot of the these dark spots. No, these are all good questions, though. You know, I learned so much by going to art school. I went to Ringling down in Florida, and you know, I loved every minute of it. I think, you know, part of just the education that you get is just being able to meet and hang out with other artists all day. You know, and you know, a lot of your career is the connections that you make. You know, and I have so many friends I made there that they work at other studios in the game industry, or they work at different movie studios now, and you know, those contacts are super important. That's how you get your foot in. It helps you get your foot in so much easier anywhere you go.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how important networking can be.
Yeah.
Even for something that's, you know, if you're doing art, your talent is obviously right there in your portfolio.
Yeah.
But networking still plays a major role.
Right. Especially like I've done a lot of portfolio reviews for hiring for concept positions, and in fact is that, you know, a lot of good portfolios come in, but if someone can be like, oh, you know, that guy, you know, Jimmy, he put in his portfolio. Oh yeah, his was good. I've worked with him. He's amazing to work with. And it's like, you know what? He's number one then, because you have to work with these people. And if their art is fantastic, but they're just a pain to work with, or they're a prima donna, or it's like, then who cares how good their art is? You know, they're awful to work with. They bring the team down. They're not a team player. So someone can actually vouch for the person. You know, because the studio is going to has to take a risk on hiring you. They're like, I really hope this person works out. So that networking is a ton. It's a huge part of it. So never burn your bridges. You never know. This industry is small. It really is small. You know, I've only been working in the industry for, I guess it's 13 years now, which I guess could be a decent chunk of time, but even that amount of time, like, you know, I pretty much know a person at about every single studio out there. It doesn't take much time for all those people that you worked with on project to go on to other studios, and before you know it, you kind of have connections everywhere. So that's why you don't really want to burn your bridges.
Yeah,
because you'll bump into those. If you stay in the industry, you're going to bump into those people again. Absolutely.
Like people do.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see here. We'll brown up some of his armor, but I don't want any. A lot of this armor set's pretty brown, so I don't want it just to look like he's wearing piles of mud, so I'm going to leave these edge pieces to actually be more like iron. And usually that kind of stuff is good too. It helps break up the shapes and the color and all that. Usually, yeah, I'll just kind of block in these flat colored shapes, and then I can help render it later. Like maybe we'll make this piece in here like that also. And then, you know, at the same point, you don't want it to also look like that was his skin also, so it looks like you're seeing through it. It's weird. Yeah, I've also figured out recently I've been a little more messy with my brush strokes, which I think is a good thing. I kind of don't really concentrate too much, and I just like kind of fly all over the place. I figured you get a lot of nice accidents with it. And so even with this in here, I can really like kind of pop out this red underneath them with some of these. I'll probably end up doing that for quite a bit of it. And you can always push the stuff back later. You know, I'm not really worried about any type of actual detailing. You know, one thing I'll have to make sure of when I get to it is I really want to make sure that his back leg is really popping forward and it doesn't look like he's ripping his hips out.
The chat thinks he looks pretty badass.
Thank you, guys.
Undead Marcy said needs more skulls, but...
Oh, there's gonna be skulls. At first, all this ground right here, I was like, what if he's just racing across like a field of skulls?
It's just all the skulls of his enemies.
Yeah. Ah! There we go. Sometimes the computer's gotta catch up. Yeah, then that's when Tawa's over. It's like, what if he's just charging across a field of Ganeshans being decapitated and their limbs ripped off, and I was like, that is gruesome. Because you'd have Ganeshans that were, you know, fighting and they're this tall in front, like a little Ganeshan knight.
Gonna try to hold his own.
Oh yeah. That guy would have some problems. Let's see here. Turn my sounds down here for Discord. All right. So basically, this is where like my flat layers thing gets all messed up too, or different layers, especially since I kind of squash it and I flip it quite a bit, so which is good. You're supposed to want to flip it. It definitely screws up my layers the way I do it. That's fine. I don't mind screwing my layers. Oh god.
Hey sugar, how they treat you?
A wild dog it has appeared, which is terrifying to me. It's happening. It's happening.
He's just gonna sneak over there. He's gonna start reading chat too.
Countdown to goodness. Your computer wants to restart.
Oh, no, it's
What, mine?
No, that laptop over there.
Oh, I was like, oh god.
Sudden panic.
I was like, I thought I just restarted it.
Mashing Control S.
All right. All right. Let's see here.
Go get some more coffee.
Where?
At the coffee store.
At the coffee store where you go to buy coffee.
Should
And
I-
take my card when you go to the coffee store and buy me coffee
I
too.
can't leave. I run this show.
You're an
That's
intern.
true.
Oh, I'm sad you said that so quietly.
Any questions there, Doug?
You're an intern.
You're an intern. It's true.
Please avoid Highlander 4 spoiler alerts in the stream.
What?
What? Oh, what?
That's alright. We'll just talk about Highlander 5.
Yeah.
That's
Just
true.
those-
Because it kind of destroyed everything that 4 was going for, you know?
Yeah.
That's.
Well,
What are we doing to the wheel spin?
Do you think the younger guys we have hired here, do you think they know what Highlander even is?
probably
They brought
not.
a bottle of
Disgusting.
There's no bottle of scotch in this room.
All I know, oh my god,
JP is gonna be so mad.
it is pretty absurd that what they have and have not seen.
So, what's the best way to learn how various textures interact with light, like armor, skin, fur?
I find just tons of practice. I think sometimes
There's a whole bottle.
I've kind of like BS around a lot of it sometimes, but it's tough. Where it's if you want to realistically render like a breastplate, it's so complicated that I just pull up like a whole page of photos of polished steel and everything like that, and it's just a ton of practice. And it's just figuring out like how the light is bending around here, and there's a lot of weird things with rendering armor where there's it's not like it folds over like a normal ball. Like they'll be like it'll go straight to black right into white, and then it'll gradient into something else. There's just it's a lot of metal is such a pain if you ask me. So I kind of do like fake metal rendering sometimes. It's like you see some artists that really nail metal rendering, and you can tell that they've really dedicated a lot of time to really kind of understanding and figuring it out. If you just get enough like bounce light and color on it, and the big thing about when this metal does get going is really sharp highlights too. Like they can happen really quick. Like you start getting kind of stuff like that in there, you can start getting more feel of actual metal. Whereas like these pieces of leather in here won't get highlights like that. It'll be more kind of like a smooth curve around.
So on the topic of rendering realistically in references, what do you think the relationship between being able to render realistically versus stylized artwork is? Do you need one to have the other?
Whew. It's actually a good question. I think a lot of people start off more realistic, And then I think when you end up getting more stylized, I think it's when you start kind of finding your own voice in your art. You know, some people have been able to start there, but I feel like for me it took a long time.
I think it's like once you understand the rules or you're comfortable with the rules.
That's
you can
exactly.
Start bending them.
Yeah, you kind of have to know what the rules are before you can break them, right?
Yeah.
If you just start doing stylized shapes, you know that shapes work, but you don't know why you're making that shape. And you know, some people, as far as stylization goes, are so unbelievable at it, and sometimes it's hard for them to go back to actually do like realistically rendered stuff. They can't ever shake it, which that's probably a good thing because I love really stylized stuff. It's the type of art that like really kind of like makes my heart stop. It's just like a whole different level. So, you know, I'm happy with like where my stylization has gotten. Sometimes I wish it was pushed a little bit further, but it's appropriate for what we're doing for our game in this project, and they've given me like a lot of leeway to help like work on my style, and my style kind of just becomes what is the look of this game, and Todd's always really great about that, and so is Melissa. There's never too much like, oh, that's way too cartoony or it's way too realistic looking. You know, I try to keep some things in check. I don't go try to do like, you know, World of Warcraft size shoulders or, you know, insane weapons. You know, some of our weapons have gotten a little crazier, like these axes are a little nuttier, but I try to base it a little more realistic, but still pushing the interest on it, if that makes sense. It might not make any sense.
Well, you're making it your own.
Right. Yeah, trying
And
to as
instead of
best I
trying to copy
can.
somebody else's style. I mean, the thing is, there's nothing wrong
Sure.
with the big shoulder pads and the weapons from WoW or Warhammer, but that's not us.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I love that stuff. You know, we don't have Final Fantasy sized weapons, which is probably a good thing. It's a little ridiculous.
Are you
Even I
making fun
can't-
of the Buster Sword right now?
I know, some of those weapons, if you gotta drag your sword in the ground, then you probably can't swing it.
How many hours a week do you typically spend painting?
I will paint here all day, and then I'll probably, when I have a lot to do at home, I work on like my own pieces and other stuff. I'll paint from like 9:30 to midnight when I'm really going. So it's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. I'm not going to bring up my plateaus that I run across, since I think that made me look a little crazy last time. But I'll try to take advantage of those plateaus. I'm not on a plateau right now. I fell off, and I collided into a cliff, and I'm still kind of picking myself back up again.
It happens to all of us. Like, the
Yeah.
plateaus, like, I found that I plateaued about 2 years ago. Or I felt like, you know, I wasn't really pushing my animations, or like I just got comfortable.
Yeah,
And
which
it
can
just-
happen for sure.
Yeah, and it does, and you don't feel like you're visibly improving. And the thing is, the more you do it, you might not visibly improve, but you might be getting faster, or
Or you just have like a mentally block, like I don't feel like this is getting better. I don't.
yeah.
Something isn't clicking where you're like, oh, this is starting to make sense now, and then you see that growth in your work, and that's when I talk about you just kind of start sprinting. Like, how far can I push my work while this kind of eureka thing is happening to you? Because I know at one point it's totally just going to disappear, and I'm just going to
Yeah.
fall off a ledge again.
I used to call it mental regurgitation. Like, every time I plateau, it was like months would go by, and I feel like I'm not getting any better, and all of a sudden, like you said, it's just like a sprint, and
Yeah.
it just something clicks in your head, and you don't know what it is. And the thing is, you technically know what it is the entire
Right,
time,
absolutely.
but it doesn't make sense until you hit that like point.
Yeah, and that's like all it is really. It's like you get better as an artist just because you can kind of self-identify what's making it good and what, you know, what makes it wrong. Like, you look at old artwork yourself, you know, like you thought it was good, but now you can actually see the mistakes, or it made it so it's actually not good. And so it's kind of that type of learning. It's you keep having to adapt your eye to it and being able to identify what works and what doesn't. And clearly you couldn't identify it before because you thought it did look good, but it was actually crap.
I always heard those moments sort of described as your artistic eye getting ahead of your current like level of talent, so you can see the things that should be better, but you don't actually, like I said, click to fix them yet.
Yeah, I think I don't know about the clicking to fixing, but I think that's probably a good.
You say he's not talented?
Yeah, Greco, you in particular. Are not
I'm
tall
out.
enough.
I really
And
want to draw
quit.
this cool picture, but I'm not good enough.
You
But
as the general
I think
you.
that's probably pretty accurate. Why does everyone leave me alone?
The Slender Man is coming for you.
I don't even want to think about that right now. It's terrifying me.
Did you have a dream?
I feel
No.
like there's a story there that you need to explain.
John just made me watch that documentary.
Which
on-
one?
The one that's on HBO.
Is there a whole documentary on it?
Yeah.
Is it about Slender Man or is it about those girls that killed them?
About the girls.
That was messed up.
I know I'm all haunted now. Just like
They're like 6 years old or something.
They were like
they're like 12.
preteens, yeah, but they like straight up cold blood murdered their friend.
Like stabbed her to death, right?
Yeah,
I think she actually lived, didn't she?
I think they killed her. I'm pretty sure they killed
Oh,
her.
you might
If
be
my
right.
computer
You might be
was
right.
on-
I didn't finish.
Just watch the documentary.
You didn't finish it.
Well, I was in the middle of watching it when I had to come in here.
Oh no.
They won't just let me watch TV at work all day. It stinks. But yeah, I think all those things are definitely pretty accurate as far as the growth that you get as an artist. But like I said, it just comes down to like spending time working more pieces. You don't get those breakthroughs unless you just paint a ton.
Billy's telling you to flip the picture.
I just flipped it. Did he just turn it in?
Yeah, he's flip that pic, Dave. Flip it. Come on, guys.
Flip it for real?
Flip it.
Oh, the victim is recovered. She didn't die.
Oh, she didn't die?
He stabbed her 19 times.
Jesus.
I told you guys. I
Yeah,
just
you
watched
here
it.
for that now?
They were 15 and they lured a middle school classmate into the woods
And
and
then
stabbed her.
That's
As a,
so messed
as
up.
a sacrifice.
Bring me down again.
God, that's so messed up.
What's wrong with you?
Uh,
I believe in an eye for an eye.
this is all John's fault.
I don't care how old you
We
are.
can lure them into the woods and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think those little girls.
I know. Every time like John lures women into the woods.
You
Off
talking
the
about
break.
O'Neal or me?
I know. Let's go with O'Neal. Let's go with the guy not in the room. He's gonna have a crazy red beard. And I'll get more oranges and all that stuff into it, but I can kind of at least highlight some areas.
You drawing Doggett again?
Ever since I drew Doggett's
Yeah.
flesh and body,
Just
I've never been able to shake in him from my mind.
I'm so sad that I wasn't here for that.
I can't believe
Doggett was a good model for it. He sat still all day. I mean, I've had like consider like professional models, they can't sit there for that long. So I'm just saying,
You could watch some of that on
you did a good job, Doggett.
Thanks, Dave.
previous videos.
You did all right. Painting me.
I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah.
We just haven't had one of those long telethon days since then. But I think some of this look, I hope we do have the time to go back and do some of these half giants and kind of this look. I think it will be actually pretty neat. I think it'd be more interesting whatever is in the current one. I never found him that interesting. I can say that, right? He's just kind of like a bald guy. And as I'm currently losing my hair, I can be against bald people, right?
Yeah. I don't know, like, my hair loss kind of froze about 5 years ago and hasn't proceeded any.
That's what mine's has kind of done, but hairline's definitely creeping back for me. I've accepted it. I just want to do what's gonna do. Stop messing around. Stop messing with my life and just do it.
Mine's always been consistent.
Yeah, you look like you're.
I'm gonna say right now, you guys should just all really be thankful for your facial hair.
Oh, really?
Dude,
I just shaved.
this is it for me.
That's it.
I don't get any.
I have a buddy like that. He's probably like in his 40s now too, and I don't think he's ever grown a single hair on his
Actually, my
face.
dad
I had a beard since I was 13.
You look like you probably did.
would-
I still get carded sometimes. Like, come on.
I've had this now for almost 20 years, for 18 years.
You've never shaved it? Like, in that time?
I've shaved it like twice.
The only thing I had is I had
Until I grew it back, or I grew a beard and then I shaved it.
I had sideburns down to my jawline for like 10 years, and then
Yeah, I did too. I used to have sideburns like really low.
Everyone's decided, like, why do you still have sideburns? Like, I don't know.
Do you remember the boy band beard?
No, dog, I
Straight
don't.
beard? I had that in high school too.
Really?
Oh, the chin strap?
Dog it.
Yeah.
What was your favorite boy band?
What
Take
is
that.
your
Is.
boy band?
Was it O-Town?
No, not Take That. What was her name?
I
No,
don't know.
it was Take That. Like
This is not even a joke.
Robbie Williams was in it.
Aren't there only like
We need to cut
3
the
boy
stream.
bands?
No, there are so many.
There's
There's
tons.
so many boy bands.
Backstreet
Just in
Boys.
the 90s,
Yeah, just
there
a-
were more than
yeah.
3 boy bands.
Oh,
Too
absolutely.
Little Too Late is my favorite.
Yeah.
Todd's boy band. It's happening right now.
I'm getting red in the face right now. I don't know what's happening.
I've been threatening to make a boy band for decades, and John's gonna film it.
We're
It's
gonna
called
be
Too
like
Little
we're gonna be
Too
like
Late.
70 when we film it. It's gonna be
And it's
it's
gonna be
gonna
like-
be too little too
every
late.
year-
in every way. They're like, these guys used to make video games. Now like a bunch of old geezers singing
I think the boy band's on the
on the rise.
rise.
Great.
Are they on the rise again?
They'll definitely be back at some point. You know
Um,
it.
You need
No,
to
they're-
confess
they
your
brought-
undying love for that Marcus.
They brought
Did you
back
flip the
those boy
picture for
bands.
Billy?
Those-
Yeah, it's been flipped like 3 times.
He really wanted you to flip it.
All right, I'll flip it
For
again.
some reason.
I'll flip it again. Billy's gonna get it, man.
Flip it good.
Ah,
Devo song.
I mean, it's great. It is good to flip it.
One person said they really appreciate that you gave him a monocle.
That's what I want now.
Well,
Instead of a crazy eye, it's a monocle.
No, flip it back. The other way was better.
Yeah.
My favorite one is when Raymond gives you a halfway decent compliment. He's like, "That's all right."
Yeah. I like this guy now. Prepare to
Kind of like that
die.
time I told you you had a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You
no,
did say
that-
that once.
That was a
That's
good day.
actually a good idea. I think that was the word that phrasing that I used.
Oh, ouch.
It wasn't
Oh,
that you
yeah.
said it was that you were being so honest about it. It just slipped out.
Yeah, like
Guys,
you weren't
I'm
thinking.
like, that's actually a good idea. And the shock and surprise in your voice. I was in front of the entire group. I was like, wow, thanks, Doggett.
Thanks, new guy.
Thanks, guy that I don't quite know who you are that works for me.
That I pay.
And that's
Yeah.
how we met, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're like, this guy has gumption.
They
Nice
said,
house gumption.
make sure you flip it
Oh, yeah.
upside down too.
Just no talent.
You know, I think I've seen some artists do that. I don't think that would do anything for me.
But he's really got gumption.
Yeah.
I think I liked it the other way better.
Oh, what
Yeah, I
kind
think
of,
you should flip it back.
what kind of hardware are you
All
using?
right. Are you guys happy? Yeah, this would be not work. At least for me, I don't even know how to render this now.
So, the monocle is going to look really good, I think, when you mix it with the top hat.
Right.
That's really what's going to bring
But-
this whole piece home. It's going to look
And-
like the Monopoly.
I never get any actual
And
work
a
done
bow
in here.
tie flying off as he's like, doing his chop.
But like a really tiny top hat.
All right, we have a real question here. What kind of hardware is Dave using? A Wacom tablet / pen? I noticed it wasn't a mouse.
Whack 'em.
It is a Cintiq tablet.
Which is made by Wacom.
Wait,
I
Wacom?
think it's Wacom.
Wacom.
Maybe
Whack-em.
Whack-em.
Like a whack-a-mole.
Hey, you didn't hire me for my pronunciation.
That's true.
Why did we hire you?
Say anime,
I was
but
hoping.
I'll get you that.
Oh yeah, the top
There you
hat.
go.
See?
You gotta
Good
put the
looking.
little chain that comes from the monocle.
This is.
I say.
I beg to differ.
Wait. Where's the chain gonna be connected to?
His monocle.
No, but into
where-
what? His
I don't
ear?
know, Where else does it
An
go?
earring, maybe.
Into his waistcoat.
It's gonna.
I think
It's gonna go around his ear.
I think it connects to like your lapel.
Here we go. Wait a second here.
Actually, Billy said this is how I always give art direction. This is actually better than how I usually give art. This is
That's
in
true.
this case there was actually a little bit of funny.
Yeah.
Usually I just think I'm funny, and I just have you there to try and like make me feel like it was funny when it actually wasn't at all.
Yeah. I have to do something.
That's
like-
the role we've settled into.
You're right, guys. This is much better.
Marvelous.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. All right. He will. It will feel like a fleshed out eyeball and not a monocle at one
thought we were
point
gonna flip
with an
it.
upper eyelid.
I thought he was gonna be facing right.
This is troll time.
Do you ever flip them upside down? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I just tried it.
Yeah, you never really do that.
It's I don't think it helps at all. I was like, I don't even wouldn't know what to render right here.
Yeah, sometimes I'll look at
So
my
I'm not sure where the-
angle and I'm like, oh. But I just don't look at it from that angle again. I'm like, render from the front.
Never do.
At
that
least like
again.
flipping it helps you see errors that you didn't see the other direction. Upside down, I just don't even recognize the picture anymore. And sometimes it's weird, the colors that everyone else sees. I feel like that, especially the Cintiq, the colors get so vibrant. That I'm messing with a lot of subtle colors, and then what people see on the stream is a lot more dull.
Yeah, it's totally pastel-y over here.
It's perfect here. Of course, I have a Mac, and Macs show.
It looks almost.
Oh, Lord.
True color.
That's all right. We can go for it being kind of watercolor right now. That's okay. It's even close.
Yeah, it's like
Oh wow,
what it
yeah,
looks
that's a big difference.
Great.
Big difference.
So hopefully what you guys see isn't heinous.
His screen.
like. This is way washed out.
Yeah.
The screen is too.
That's the thing. Like everyone's monitors always kind of look a little different, and
The screen should be warmer, and it should be more contrast.
So do you mostly do digital work or do you do traditional?
these days I almost do everything digital. I would love to someday go back to
You
doing
painted the murder of Crow's Crow.
to paint stuff. It just
Oh yeah.
most of the time it's a matter of just time.
In fact, though, it
Yeah.
dripping is actual real.
And if I had like a set
No, it is.
studio space,
It's
Motherfucker,
actual
don't
drips.
laugh at me.
we did. I painted it with a real brush and a real piece of
With
paper.
An
And
actual
we-
paint drips.
We actually I took fast stills while he held it up, and the paint ran down.
Nice.
It was pretty sweet. That feels like a long time ago.
It was 2015.
That was at the old Tech Ranch.
That was it.
Bless its heart.
Well, you got about 10 minutes left.
All right. Well, let's kind of keep rendering parts. Kind of.
Did you?
But this is really how most of the piece goes.
monocle still there?
No, he took the monocle away.
He did that on another layer.
Yeah. Usually that's why I have to make so many layers, is because everyone just trolls me with weird ideas, and I can't help but to actually draw them.
So they're all the bullshit layers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So then you can kind of get a bunch of this red underlit stuff happening, and that'll be pretty cool. And then
So Todd gives you all these tips, and you paint them on different layers, and after he walks away, you take them all off.
oh yeah,
And he's like,
basically
"See, I told you it would work."
most of the time you don't even have to paint it,
Genius.
because he won't remember. That's a little secret. Hope he's still not watching.
I'm sure he's not.
No, why would he?
That's true. It's true.
Watch some boring drawing.
Ha ha.
I was telling
Ah.
somebody earlier that you're the only artist screen that I can see from where I sit. And I have
Oh,
to
really?
make sure that I lean the other way, or else I'll realize that I've been sitting there watching you draw for like 15 or 20
Oh.
minutes straight, and I'm like, oh crap.
On days that
I need
I'm
to work.
on days that I'm being productive.
He's got a little pair of binoculars.
Those little tiny ones
Yeah.
that are on the
Oh yeah,
like the opera binoculars.
glasses, yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet. Are you leaving us, Doggett?
Doggett, what?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Looks
I
like a
mean,
guy
What are
who
you
gets
doing?
up and leaves the party without saying anything.
That's me.
Tries to sneak out. I do that too.
you can't really sneak out when 2/3 of us are looking right at you.
Yeah, it's like, please, Doggett.
Yeah.
You're helping make this a little bit easier.
Oh, Tina says it's a typo. The half giant was actually meant to be half gentleman. That makes
That's
a lot of sense, actually.
true. Oh yeah, Todd was in here. We forgot to ask him.
Oh yeah, we were asking about.
We screwed up.
That's our fault.
What were we gonna ask him?
What the giants
I
are
already
half
forgot.
giant of? If they're half giant, like half stone giants.
I'm pretty sure it's half human, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure one half is human, but there are a bunch of different giant types.
But we have
Well, let's use
giants
deduction
going.
here. Let's list off all the things that he's not. Half
Oh
of.
God.
Seagull,
No.
Ah.
I don't know.
polar bear.
I don't know. He's pretty big.
Max.
Polar bears are big. What was
He's
that?
definitely not half max.
No, definitely not half max.
But his hair's curly. Max's hair is curly.
It's
Maybe that's where he gets it
true.
from.
Salmon.
He does have some red in him.
Coriolis effect.
I don't even know.
I don't actually know what that
I don't know
is,
what
so
we're
I
talking
can't
about
even-
anymore.
What are you talking about?
We're talking about what the half giant isn't half of.
A penny.
Just one.
This conversation's over.
Yeah.
He is not half a penny. That is true. You were what, Doggett?
It's the child of Max and Doggett.
Half Max, half
Oh man.
Doggett.
I'm gonna have to lug this antique back out of here.
Log it.
Logging.
Malgit.
Yeah, basically just kind of bouncing around the piece repeatedly. Just trying to fill in little, kind of like little render spots. Then hopefully if I spend, 7 hours doing that, you end up with a finished piece.
Hopefully by the end of it, you're like, yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I try to spend like two days per piece. That's kind of where I stand. Unless the piece, sometimes I'll run into some problems and they'll take longer, but ideally 2 days a piece, like working days.
What do you feel is your weakness when it comes to drawing?
Don't answer Dave.
I think dynamic poses and a lot of movement in a piece. I kind of have a lot of pieces where everyone's just kind of staring off into space. They look like they're made of stone.
Isn't that why you have those little action figures?
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
You're actually
They haven't done much yet.
Good. You got those little dances.
Yeah, it's tough, but like,
really expensive thing.
there's also a thing like the more you render, the more the piece kind of like, all that gestural stuff kind of freezes and slows down. And I haven't really gotten to a point where,
You should
Having
only
a
have
nice-
one eye. The other one should be a scar ripped out. Replaced with a monocle.
or like a carrot.
Yeah.
He's got a carrot coming out of one eye.
Or it could be like half snowman. So carrot for a nose, coal for eyes, sticks for arms.
Oh God.
He brought you your
Todd bought me this.
This one's missing an arm.
She doesn't even have an arm.
What happened to her arm?
And basically I can't leave my desk ever
Did you do that? Did you
without
show her?
coming back and these two looking like they're about to reproduce.
I saw those on your desk when you were gone one day, and I was like, "These are so cool." And Melissa's like, "You can have them. He never uses them."
Did she really? Busted. Oh man, busted.
Oh man.
You know what? I've used them once, and it was actually pretty useful. And while my laptop is not plugged in, I just pulled a hellish. 10% battery.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm not running out there to get yours.
And my battery is in here.
Oh, is it in here?
I think I might just
Wait, where's
plug it
that?
in.
I'll get you. Is it right here?
No, that's
the one to this lap. Well, I mean, you've got 6 minutes or 4 minutes.
Okay.
Can you last that long?
it says I got 10% battery. Let me make sure I'm saved up here.
She said. Sorry.
Unbelievable, John.
He wasted.
Gotta go. 4 minutes on these toys. I'll go put them
That's
back.
all right. It was worth it to discover that Melissa was trying to give them away.
Those little videos, the little stop motion
Dude, that would be awesome.
animation videos. What would be the audience? I didn't realize we had front row seats for this.
But that's it. I mean, if there's no other kind of questions, I pop on this for all these things we do pretty often, so I'm always here to answer questions, and I kind of say a lot of the same stuff, really.
Comments on yours more than asking questions. Oh wait,
That's fine.
no, that was a question. Most people at least say good things.
That's good. But yeah, so always just trying to push out a bunch of work. We're getting pretty far into the project, so it's nice to be able to spend time on a lot of this marketing stuff, since we've handled a lot of like the little detail-y concept stuff that needs to be done. And there's still always a good amount of that, always, but it's a good place to be, really. Yes, sir. All right. I think we're close to wrapping this one up, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess since my career is about to shut off, thanks everyone for taking a little bit to watch me kind of sketch this painting out. And I'll actually have this done within the next day, and we'll put it online so everyone can see the final and see how it wrapped up. Awesome. Thank you.